And now, Legal Perspective with Nick Kleekis.
For homeowners in disaster-prone areas, navigating home insurance is becoming increasingly challenging, a reality made clear by the aftermath of the recent fires in Los Angeles. Here to help us understand the issues and implications is Allie Menegakis, attorney at Kleekis Law Firm. Allie, so great to have you here with us today. And our heart goes out to Los Angeles and everything that they're going through right now. And before we dive deeper into that specific issue, people in disaster-prone areas, whether it's fire, like, California, or here, flooding, we aren't the only ones that need home insurance, right?
Absolutely. Anyone that owns a home should have home insurance, whether it's required by your mortgage lender or not. Most banks do require some sort of home insurance, and a lot of times they require fire insurance or flood insurance, depending on what area you live in. But even if you own your home outright and you're not in a disaster-prone area, it's smart to have insurance, not just because it protects you from natural disasters, but also because it can protect you from personal liability. For example, if someone slips and hurts themselves on your property, or if you're a victim of theft, for example.
You mentioned fire insurance and flood insurance. Are those not typically included in a general home insurance policy?
Well, they used to be typically included in them. Flood insurance is not generally included in regular home insurance packages. So in South Carolina, for example, especially like coastal areas, you have to purchase flood insurance separately from the national flood insurance.
Okay. How do we find out what our policy covers?
You have to read the coverage. I know that it's hard, and I know that there's a lot of language in there in the contract, but if you want to look closely, what you're looking for is the exclusions, right? And you're looking at the coverages. So it might say on your contract or your insurance contract, excluding flood, excluding fire, or the coverage might say to a certain extent, or fires that start in this kind of example. But if you have questions, it's definitely worth it to ask your insurance agent. I always recommend always asking in writing so you get a response in writing. And of course, if you have questions about it, you can always ask an attorney.
And we've been hearing a lot about insurance holds that are being placed on the people in Los Angeles that have been affected by the fires. What does that mean? I mean, that sounds scary.
A hold is what it sounds. They put a hold or a stop on selling new insurance. And it's not necessarily unheard of. When hurricane season here, that happens here as well. Usually right as soon as they name that hurricane, or a few days or sometimes even a week before the hurricane hits, they will stop selling insurance. And that's why it's really important for homeowners to know what coverage they have through insurance. And now is the time, if you don't have flood insurance, or now is the time that you want to review your policy, to start doing that.
A hold means that they stop selling insurance. So if you already have insurance, you should be in the clear, right?
You should be. Sometimes insurance companies will drop policies. We saw State Farm do that in California area. And the reasons for that, so they say that is because they were unable to increase their premiums due to the California laws, and therefore they were forced to drop certain people's policies that were in fire-ridden areas or high-risk areas. But usually when a policy is dropped, they do have a requirement to notice you with a good amount of time, usually a few months.
If that were to happen, what is the first thing that we should be doing?
You got to get new insurance, especially if you have a mortgage. And the reason that is because your bank requires insurance usually for having that mortgage, because the house is their asset, right? That's their insurance there. And the problem is, if you don't find alternate coverage, you could be pushing yourself into having the bank actually purchase insurance for you, which could be very expensive, high premiums, or subject yourself to foreclosure even.
Okay. So get home insurance no matter what. Check your exclusion clause, flood insurance, fire insurance, make sure all of that is covered. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to Kleekis Law Firm, 843-9000000. And also Allie Menegakis, thank you so much for being here with us today. And we'll have you back next week to talk about pardons. We're back in 2 minutes.
This has been Legal Perspective with Nick Kleekis.